Tass. It's the Metzger Tassoul Show.
Hello, Mr. Shane.
Well, hello.
Why does it sound like you're in an airplane?
I don't know. Perry said it was in and out, and then he said it was fine. Is it better now? You can't hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay.
Yeah, seems fine.
Okay,
Seems
good.
fine.
Yeah, I'm using my iPad today, so my apologies.
Yep, not a problem. So let's just, are we live yet? I don't know if we're actually, oh, here we are. Yes. All right, we'll be starting here shortly. So, Mr. Shane Tassoul, what was your feedback from our MayaCon event? We had a little over 520 people in attendance. What was your biggest takeaway after doing these now for almost 15 years, 14 years?
I think we had the conversation. We said this to the guests several different times about the seminars are very important. There's a lot of great takeaways. There's a lot of actionable items and things like that. But I'll say for me, we had a dinner, and it's just interesting how people interact. And I think one of the reminders for me was really talk less about yourself and more about others, and build others up, and the power of that. I know that might seem trivial, right? But it was just a really good reminder when we were at dinner, and the people that we were at dinner with, the stories that they would tell about building up somebody else. And it was not anything to do about themselves, but everything to do about everybody else. And it was just a really good reminder about how to treat people and how to empower people and how to, whatever the whole, how to win friends and influence people, right? There's an art to that. And just being more mindful of that for me, whether that's with your team, whether that's with your students, the parents, whoever that may be, right? We've talked about it. There's interested versus interesting, right? Be interested in what the other people have to say, as opposed to being the person who's always the person who's interesting and telling everything about yourself. So that was, for me, that was a really great reminder. Also was a really great reminder for me that sometimes the things that are said in the hallways and talked about with clients, and they have this aha moment and they say, oh my God, I just figured out a way to go back and generate an extra $10,000 a month in revenue. When you have those conversations, you don't realize what a 10 or 15 minute conversation can do and how it can really change someone's trajectory. So those are probably my big ones.
Yeah, it's interesting because we heard a lot about that, because part of the theme was the learning happens in between the speakers, in between the sessions, when they're talking with consultants one-on-one specific about their challenges maybe, or speaking with all the other attendees about each other's challenges, and they help each other. So no, that was big. And the other big takeaway for me was another common theme of this one was about team, right? And
right.
How you cannot maximize success in any area of your life without a team. Even a fighter that goes into a cage or boxing ring alone couldn't do it without a team behind them, right? I mean, we need a team, which is the theme of this, for owners on here, how to recruit, how to train and retain team members or staff members or employees or whatever the term is. But as I said in the seminars, titles are just titles. We're a team. I mean, we all have our roles. We all have our jobs to do, and we all have to do our jobs to grow together. The problem becomes when you have a team and there's only one person on the team that's the majority winner. And typically that's ownership, the way people run their businesses. They get the lion's share, or they want the lion's share. and maybe they don't compensate or invest in their teams enough. So, we could break it down here as far as recruiting and team members. Now, if you're a school owner on here that does not have a staff, doesn't have a team, you have to admit that if you are in the martial arts, to teach martial arts to as many people as you can, to share your knowledge with your community, as many people as you can, to impact people, you need a team. You're going to impact more people with the more people you have on your team, because you'll be able to accommodate more customers, more students, more units, whatever it is. But whatever the drive is that you're in the martial arts industry, just know the more people you can have on your team, the better you're going to do it, whatever it is you're trying to accomplish with your martial art. So the first thing is recruiting team members. And that's very easy. We're done. Indeed. Now let's talk about training team members. Kidding. Just kidding. Tass, well, you could tell them where's the best place to recruit team members. Everyone knows this, but I don't know if they have a system on how to do it.
Craigslist.
That's right. Everyone thinks it's Indeed.
Right. It's Craigslist.
It's Craigslist.
So if you just take that gold nugget, and if I don't know if it's driving you nuts, but I feel like I'm not looking at the screen. I am looking at you and at the screen. I can't move the window over, so my camera's over there. So it looks like my eyes are not paying attention, but I am paying attention. So, yeah, man, look, everyone knows the best place to recruit your team members is internally, right? Because not that we can't find great team members from outside of our martial arts school, but normally when we do that, there's a different culture. I'll say there's baggage, right? There's, well, this is the way we did it, or this is the way that I did it, or my instructor did it. And there's the baggage that comes along with that. Whereas the people that are in your school, they understand your culture. It's implied they've been living in it, right? So they understand the culture. They understand how you do things. They understand the systems, whether they've been trained or taught those systems or not. They see those systems. And as a matter of fact, I had a student, this goes back to, years ago, when the parents called and said, hey, do you guys teach Aikido, right? We're a Taekwondo school. And I said, well, that's an interesting question. Why do you ask? And again, I flipped it and asked a question, right? And they said, well, I heard Aikido is the best martial art for self-defense, and my child's dealing with some bullying issues, and we just want to make sure that he's equipped to take care of himself and things like that. So long story short, brought him in, did the introductory lesson. Well, he stayed with me till he got a second-degree black belt. He became one of our assistant instructors in his teens. He graduated high school, then he went overseas and took what was going to be a gap year, traveled Europe. He did all kinds of really crazy, cool stuff. And it was 2 years ago, I think, when we had the last Super Show, maybe. I don't know. Time goes by so quick. But he lives in Vegas now. And he's like, hey, sir, can we get together? And so I got together with him, and he was sharing with me his level of success and the things that he was doing. And he said to me, he goes, I really didn't understand the whole business side of the martial arts. He goes, but now that I've been involved in some of these other businesses and doing things, he goes, I really understand. He goes, it is such a brilliant setup, from having, basics program, having different levels to ascend people to, and everything else. So he understood all of that. He understood it when he was there, but he had a better understanding when he was out in the workforce and seeing it. So, looking internally for your people, and who's the farm team? You and I literally just had a discussion about this before we jumped on the call. And there's times that we can get heavy as far as having too many people on our team. If we're hiring, you say this all the time, if you're hiring for convenience as opposed to hiring as an investment. Well, sometimes when we hear that, or owners hear that, they may think, well, man, if I'm not hiring somebody for a career, it's not an investment. But there's not a 15, 16, 17-year-old that you're going to hire that's coming to you right now for a career. They're looking for a job. And then it's our responsibility to be able to help them understand what the opportunity is and what opportunities we have for them, and lay that out so they can see that, so that if this is something that they want to do as a career, they understand, wow, this is what I was thinking I was going to do. This is the opportunity. Which direction do I want to go? Because a lot of times they don't realize what the opportunity is in martial arts school and that they can make a great career and have a great career in martial arts.
Well, that's the biggest thing. So you're exactly right, and you gave the example of an impact and how that worked. But let's break it down. So let me give you some tips. Again, if you're just joining us, you cannot maximize whatever it is you want to maximize in your school. Whether it's I want to teach more people, I want more people to learn my martial art, I want to impact my community. You cannot do more of that without a team. You need a team, right? So let's talk about how you recruit team members. Tassoul said internally, right? And when you recruit internally, a lot of times your people, your students, they don't know that there is an opportunity for a career. Number one, they don't know. So if you as an owner of a school, if you yourself are not successful, okay? And success is defined by however you want to define it. But look, if you're driving an old beat up car, let's say, you don't need to be driving supercars, right? But you have to, I think you want to set an example for anybody that I may want to go to college. I love martial arts. I have a passion. I love it. Not me personally. I'm a student. I love it. I wish I could do this for a living, but I know I can never make a great living doing this. That's what I believe, number one, right? And why do I believe that? Well, because I see my instructor, right? They don't have a lot of money, or they have a second job or this. So first thing is we have to be successful. Secondly, every time you have students that are going to black belt, okay, right before black belt, whatever that belt is for you, a lot of schools do a black belt orientation. I don't care if the kid is 10 years old, depending on what you teach, how you teach, right? But you should have a black belt orientation as far as what to expect on this journey to black belt, and what we expect you to be as a black belt in our school, meaning setting an example for all the other students, helping other students, encourage others, all of that stuff. But the other thing that we go over is parents and students, adults, we want to let you know you also just opened up a door for a possible career opportunity. And it's another option once you get your black belt. And in championship martial arts, here is the opportunity. And it's laid out for them. We go over it and show them there is a pathway. Okay. And we're going to get to that in a minute when we talk about retaining people. But do you know, parents, students, that you can make 6 figures in the martial arts business, have health benefits, have a retirement plan, have vacation? Now, some of you on here, as far as being an owner, you can't even imagine that potentially, which is why we got to get you successful first. And then you got to show people, because they don't know how there is an opportunity here. But what you don't do is what we all do for the most part, which is, man, classes are getting bigger. I need some help. Hey, have you ever thought about teaching martial arts? Would you want to be, come on, be an assistant instructor? I'll show you how to warm up a class. I'll show you how to take people through a class. And some of you, you don't even do that. You just say, hey, can you warm them up? Take them through this, and this. So there's a couple things that happen when you're recruiting team members. Number one, you don't set the tone as far as the culture. I'm a student. Martial arts is magical for me. All I see is martial arts. Well, if they join the team and it's still just martial arts, just the mat, right? Your school is more than just the mat. There's a lobby, there's an office, and then there's the outside walls, which there's a marketing component, and there's things that we need to do to grow our school. But if you bring people on and they're never pre-framed on that, people can get turned off by the business side. Like you were saying, now I understand that I've been your staff member, now that I'm in other businesses, I understand. But if you don't do that, you ruin the allure of what they perceive martial arts is all about. They have to understand the why there's a business side of this, because we can't stay in business. We can't impact more people. We can't help people unless we know how to run the business. So when we bring somebody on board, the first thing on our job description, the first thing is cleaning the school. Like that is on the top of the list. Not being able to warm up a class properly, not praising, nothing. They have to understand the non-martial arts stuff right out of the gate and the importance of why that's important. So when recruiting, it starts with your students that are going to black belt, and it starts internally. The other big misconception is a lot of times school owners will say, "Oh, he would never want to be on our team. He has a full-time job," until you go talk to them and you're like, wow, they would love to teach martial arts. They need to make a certain amount, or they never thought they can make money here. And stop that too. You need to let everybody know when there's positions that are opening up. And if you're not in a place to give full-time, you give part-time and then share your vision with them and how we can grow together. And this is where I want to go. Not me personally as the owner, but bring you along with me. Would you want to jump in and let's see how we can do with this, right? So go ahead, Tass.
Yeah, a few things on that. So, going back to the are you driving the nice car, right? And again, not a supercar, but are you taking care of the car? Years ago when my folks owned supermarkets, right? I remember going to a Christmas Eve thing with some of the managers of the grocery stores, and there's 5 different stores that my parents owned. And before we walked in, the managers were already there, and my dad pointed out each of them. He's like, "You see, look inside their car." And he's like, "Now look inside their car." And he's like, "That's exactly how they run their stores," right? So it was, and again, these are some lessons that you learn through life, and so regardless of the car you drive, is your car clean inside, right? Forget what the outside looks. Is it clean inside? You're an influence in your school. I said we talked about this yesterday in our training with our team. I said if the head instructor, chief instructor, dyed his hair red, next week there'd be a ton of kids coming in with red hair, right? That's how much influence and I guess influence, if you want to say that, or leadership that you have over people, where people will follow you and do those things. As a matter of fact, when I said that, one of our leadership kids, who's only there, teaches a couple classes a week, she goes, "Oh my gosh, sir, I remember that. I remember when I dyed my hair blue." And she's like, 3 kids the next week came in, their hair was dyed blue, and I'm like, "Oh, we just liked it so much." And so we always have to be on, number one, right? It's always, we're on stage, we're always performing, and so that's the good news, bad news, right? People look up to you, and you got to use your influence, for good, not for bad. And I think the other thing on the recruitment side is when you're ready to do that, it's always important to make sure that you bring them through the recruitment process, just like it would be for any other job. Another mistake I think people make is they don't go through an interview process. They don't go through a training process. They don't go through any of those things. They just are quick to hire, and they just bring somebody on, and we forego all of those things. And you're not doing anybody a favor there either, right? These teenagers that this might be their first job. Well, if you can teach them how to go through the interview process and how to, understand how to follow the standard operating procedures in a business, whether they stay with you or not, obviously we hope they do. But if they don't, for whatever reason, they're going to be more well-equipped later on, moving into the workforce and things like that as well. So, you mentioned it. This is an oldie but a goodie, but you're saying it, right? Like, you if you wanted the four steps of being successful, right? Like, step number 1, learn how to become successful. Step number 2 is you got to execute what you learn. And it's interesting because in the consulting world, there are people that really want to learn how to be successful, right? That's why they join any sort of consulting. They want help. They want to learn how to be better. The majority of them will go to step number 2, which is they will execute what they learn. Now, there are some people that are so caught up in their ways that they're not going to execute. And those are the ones that we see just stay at the same level, and they don't move, and they don't advance, and they don't get better, whether that's more students, more revenue, both, any of those things. But there's a lot of people that can accomplish those first 2 steps. They learn how to be successful. They learn the right systems. They learn all the things. They execute those things, and they're going to see this lift. But at the end of the day, without a team, you still own a job, right? You still own a job as an owner. And so this is where steps 3 and 4 come in, right? And this is where the work happens. This is where step 3, you teach others to learn how to be successful, right? And that's where all the training happens, and you're working with everybody. And then step 4 is you got to hold them accountable, and you got to teach others to execute what they learn. And that's the cycle, right? And so we just went through this again. We went through this yesterday with our team. because I want them to be well equipped, whether they're with us or they're with somebody else. I want them to be well equipped in life. And the reality is I think when people, it's the same reason why people enroll in your martial arts school, right? People do not care how much you know until they know how much you care. And so when you're trying to really help your team be the best versions of themselves possible, be successful, they understand that, and they start reaching out to you for other things. Hey, sir, can you help me with my credit? Hey, sir. And when they're opening up to you about those types of things, that means they trust you, right? And if they trust you, which we'll go into in a second, but they're going to stay longer with you because they feel like they have that trust. And in a lot of cases, I'll use this as an example, right? It's a concept, but you essentially can become more of a father figure to some of these people and a mentor to some of these people that are in your school, right? And it's not just about their martial art journey anymore. It's about life in general. And so just throwing some of those things out there as well. We can't shortcut it. We've got to do the interview process. Don't rob them of that experience, right? Make sure you're looking for your good people, and make sure you're teaching, not telling, but you're teaching them how to become successful and helping them to execute what they learn and hold them accountable. I think those are all big things.
So to sum it up, when you recruit team members, number one, you got to recruit from internal first. However, you cannot let that stifle your growth. If you are ready to bring on team members and there is nobody in your wheelhouse, right? First, that's our fault, because it starts now. The seeds you plant now will give you people in a couple of years from now that you'll be able to recruit. But if you're ready now and you don't have anybody internally that you can bring on, you got to look externally. And I'm not an expert in this, but we find people through Indeed and, all these different places. We have a team that, will put ads out, but then there's an interview process, but it's even with internal. You gotta make sure they understand your culture. So we have I'm at the point where I'd have to ask Mr. Peterman, but we have a 6-step process of hiring. And I don't even know all the 6 steps, but I know it's like a phone interview, then a second phone interview with another director on our team. Then it's a Zoom interview with a team. Then it's an in-person panel interview with the executives. Then it's another panel interview with some of our managers. And then it's come on in and let's see, we want you in one of the schools to either take a part of the class, warm up as a guest instructor, or work in the office and make sure this is a fit. When you get hired with us, you cannot start working until you go through our level 1 certification. And that's outlined, and there's tests, and there's meetings, and there's a level 1 certification you must go through. Now, the thing is if you don't have any of that, you can create your own, figure it out, or you get with a group that provides it, whether that's a franchise, a license, or wherever. But that is the process. That's what we do. Because it's about setting the expectation. The worst thing that you can do is hire someone to be an instructor, and they think they're coming on to teach classes, and then you ask them to clean the bathrooms, make some MIA calls, help market, go run a booth. They will think this is not what I signed up for, right? Because you didn't set the expectations. Now, once you recruit people, and you did the level 1 certification, now it's about training people, because the second part is recruit, train, and retain. So now we got to train our team members. You got to think about training team members the same way you train students. Do you just train students 1 day a week? Do you train students 1 day a month? Do you just train students by giving them tips every now and then? Is your school just open? They can come in, work out on the floor, and you just walk out and say, hey, just make sure you chamber that way, chamber your hips, or like because this is what a lot of us do with staff. Warm up a class. Hey, try to get them to sweat a little bit more. Take them through this. Like, that's your training process. And that's no good, right? If you want to grow your business, you got to train the way IBM would train, or Microsoft would train, or Apple would train their people. And Silverman said this best at one of these things, because his wife worked for Disney in a leadership position. But the person at Disney World that takes your tickets at the front little counter gets more training than your average martial arts instructor, right? Do you train them on the customer rapport and service? Forget about how to count to 10 and hold pads and organize a class. That's a given. You got to make sure they know how to do that. But then it's got to be consistent. You don't train someone and you're done. I got 3 people in executive positions, directors of operations and the vice president of business operations, 3 people with their only job is to consistently be training and holding the teams accountable and providing training all the time. That's the job. I mean, if we didn't need ongoing training all the time, I wouldn't need that position. So you have to have a system to where there was training. You just told me, I don't know if you said it on here, Tass, but didn't you just say somebody talked about at the show, maybe it was Abigail or something, about the 3 hours of the training from 12 to 3 when you come in?
Yeah, I remember hearing this at one point. I don't remember who to give credit to, so I'll just take it as my own. But there's only one thing worse than a trained team member or staff member that leaves your school to go somewhere else, and that's keeping an untrained staff member, right? And I thought, wow, that really was powerful when I heard that. But there's some people that will watch this and say, well, man, I work my day job. I don't have time to, then I've got classes at night. I don't have time to train. Well, you will find the time if that's what you value, right? And some of you are like, well, I'm not going to do that on a Saturday afternoon or on a Sunday. But if that's the only time you have, and if you're adamant about getting to the next level, you're going to make that work, right? You're going to figure it out. Summertime for a lot of people. Summertime is a time where a lot of people will kind of slow down and take off a little bit and not do as much. Well, summer for us is an opportunity to have all of our teenagers that are normally in school to actually come in and train. We're doing trainings from noon to 3, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, right? So 9 hours of train a week. But it's been, the team loves it. They absolutely love it. So that was Abigail who was just saying, she was telling my girlfriend how much she just enjoys the training, how much she's learning from the training, and how fun it is. And that's the other thing, it's part of retention. I've made the mistake, and I think owners will do the same. It's interesting when you talk about training your team like you would train in the martial arts, right? But do you also teach your team and your staff like you teach martial arts? Because oftentimes it's not praise. It's not being the good finder. We're constantly looking at the things that aren't being done, and that's all we talk about. And that's not fun for anybody. That's not fun for an owner. Guys, where are we at? How many enrollments do we have? We got to get more enrollments. What are you going to do for enrollment? You got to make the lead calls. You got to make the MIA calls. And it sounds like a broken record, right? And it took me a long time to break out of the consultant mode with my own team, where I realized, man, this is insanity. Like, I'm going in, I feel like I'm saying the same thing every single time, and we're not getting any better results. Then when I went in and just said, you know what, I'm just going to relax. Like, we're going to have fun. We're going to talk about what people are doing. We're going to joke around. We're going to have a good time. And people that are having a good time and enjoying their job or their career are going to perform way higher than people who aren't, right? And so that's another, I think, big nugget is, if you're going to do the train, you got to find time to do the train, number one. Number two, make the trainings fun, make them exciting. And I think you'll see that you'll have people that want to participate. As a matter of fact, we have full-time staff that's required to be at the trains. But for any part-time or any leadership students, if they want to come, they can come and voluntarily come to that training. And I'm shocked at the number of people that come 3 hours Monday, 3 hours Tuesday, 3 hours Wednesday, and they're just volunteering right now because they want to learn. They want to take their skills to the next level. So it's pretty fun to be able to do that this time of year.
So recruiting, training. Now, here's another big mistake people do with training. Is this better or is this better?
Do the other one. What can you slow down? Other one. Yes. That puts a little moon over
Or
your.
is this better?
That's great. I love the stroke. Oh, I'm gonna stroke like I did in the seminar.
I'm so freaking ugly. I just like darkness.
Oh, easy.
And that now there's an executive to my right who will be losing her job after the show for laughing at the ugly comment, like shaking her head.
Yeah.
So
And she wonders why nobody likes her.
it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable, Connor. Man, she's quiet until like.
No, she's not.
All right, so let's talk about the training part one more time. Here's the mistake you make. Some of you are like, I do staff meetings. I don't know what to say, so we go over everything and we're still not growing. Here's why. When you train and you're going over what needs to be done and you're talking about the tasks because it's teach others how to be successful, the second part of training is holding accountability, holding them accountable. You can't have a meeting once a week and then just go for the rest of the week and then see them again the following week or talk about it. You have to have a midweek little catch up, how we doing, where we at. But throughout the week, just like a sports team, they practice all week to win the game on the weekend. But they also call timeouts during the game. Got to have a timeout. Guys, we're not executing. We got to be out. So throughout the game, meaning while we're teaching, we got to have little timeouts. We got to be holding accountable. Hey, we didn't catch this student. We didn't praise them. We didn't talk to the parent who wanted information about getting her child to focus better in school, right? Like we got to be doing that throughout. And it's hard. It is hard, right? It's hard to do that. But what you do today will provide positions for tomorrow. Like I have the directors who were instructors. They were assistants at one point, then chief instructors and managers. Now they're directors, right? So you got to level everybody up, which goes into retaining your team. To retain your team, you got to give them a path for growth and opportunity. If you bring somebody on your team and they think the end game is exactly where they're at, on the mat till 9 o'clock at night, even if you think as an owner, financially, you're going to be able to grow financially, I don't want to be stuck on the mat till 9 o'clock at night personally, till I'm 70 or 75 or until I die. Like I want to know there's an opportunity. It's not all about financial. So you got to find out, what is your career goals, Mr. or Miss So-and-so? Like, where would you like to see yourself in a career? And then you got to create positions and opportunities. So now you're thinking, well, if I hire an instructor, what would I have them do if they're not instructing? Well, nothing if you don't grow your company. If you don't grow your business, there will be nothing.
Right.
There'll be nothing. And so this is why I in Maya anyway, we don't teach you how to do pretty good in your business. We don't teach you how to do pretty good in your martial arts school. We want to teach you how to professionalize and maximize your business, whether it's karate or software. We got to grow. We have to grow, or you're just going to be on this wheel. Eventually, your 21-year-old or 20-year-old that you hire today that loves teaching, and you're like, no, he's been with me 5 years or she's been with me 5 years. They love it. They're teaching. Well, at 30, or when they have a family, or when they have a child, talk to me then. Are there exceptions? Of course. But I'm never going to be able to sit down and have dinner with my child because from 2 to 9 o'clock at night, every night I'm teaching, I'm stuck. We have to have levels here and opportunities to retain our people. And the last thing I'll say, and I'll throw it to Tass, is don't, and I said it, but I want to make sure you heard it, don't always think that financial success is the epitome of success for everybody. For a lot of people, it's recognition, but mostly today, work-life balance. I need to be able to have some flexibility. Now, today, if you're in the job, if you're a senior instructor with us, well, there's not a lot of flexibility. You're working your way to flexibility, but at least there's a step to get there. But this position, there is none. I need you teaching classes right now. And if you can't execute what you've learned in a martial arts school. I can't put you in a manager position to teach others how to execute if you can't do it yourself in the school that you're in. So there is an expectation, but it's laid out for everybody. So that's how you retain people. And by the way, anytime you hear from gurus in the industry, I recommend, and you should ask us, or you can DM me, call me, whatever. Well, Mr. Metzger, why do you feel you're an expert on this subject? Well, because I've made mistakes, but it's also because I have people that have been with me for 30 years, 25 years, 20 plus years. We retain our people pretty darn good. And there's a reason that we retain our people pretty darn good. And by the way, I also believe, like, if somebody's telling you how to run your school, we'll ask them how they run their school first. Well, tell me, does it work for you in your school? And where are you? Are you in the middle of a population of 10 million people or 1 million people with an income of $200,000 household? And I'm in a town that has 20,000 people with a $30,000 annual income. Will it translate with what you're teaching me? Like, these are things you have to make sure that you ask yourself, so you're sharp, so you're smart, because everybody can give you tidbits. I can give you advice on how to retain staff, but what if you came to Orlando and you're like, well, show me, who's your longest staff member? Well, that would be this person here. They've been with me for 3 years. You should not be taking advice from me on how to retain staff. Okay? Task.
Yeah, and the benefit of having the pathway and job descriptions, and by the way, listen, I mean, it's when you come up with this, right? Because we're going to have people say, oh, do you have a training manual? Or do you have your pathway? Well, yeah, we do, right? But it's part of what we do and what CMA does, right? But you can create it and you can do it because we've spent. If you look at the man hours that were invested in doing all this, it's a lot of time, effort, energy. But also understand that it can be evergreen, meaning this: get something down, get something documented for job descriptions and what people should be doing. You can always add to it and you can grow it, because we just had a conversation on Monday about, well, what if we did this, and maybe adding certain things, right? And adding certain positions and things like that. We're constantly growing. So number one, if we were to show you ours, it might be overwhelming, number one. Number two, when you do this and you understand it and you go through the process of it, it's going to help you tremendously. And the other thing is this, going back to the 4 ways to become successful, right? Learn how to be successful, execute what you learn, teach others how to be successful, and teach others how to execute what they learn. Well, the pathway does that, right? So now you have these job descriptions of each of these jobs or positions. And now what we do is we always tell our team, like, your mission as a team member should be to train someone to replace you, not because we're going to get rid of you, but we can create another opportunity for you because you're pulling somebody up. I can't move you from that position if there's nobody to take that position over. So now it's this, we have this, you end up with this culture, right? And this is what we all work towards, but you end up with this culture where everybody's helping everybody. The person above me is helping pull me up to replace themselves. I'm helping the person below me lift them up to the next level so I can replace myself, so we can all progress and move together, which is where we go into the whole, well, when are you ready for multiple locations, right? Not because you want to make more money, not because you want to say you have multiple schools, not because you have people knocking your door down, your team, that they want to move and they found their replacements, and we have all these team members and we need something to do with them, right? So that's why that's so important on knowing what your responsibilities are and how to help and get people up to the next level. And the other thing on retention is this: we can't be short-sighted. And you mentioned this earlier, Metz, but we can't be short-sighted and say, well, I'm not going to do some sort of a retirement plan where I do a match. And man, I'm not giving out these vacation days. And, I hear people all the time say, well, we overpay our instructors. Well, I don't know what that means, but when I talk to some of these people and I find out that they're overpaying their instructors, like, well, yeah, we pay them $25 an hour to teach. Okay, well, how many hours a week do they teach? Well, they teach for 10 hours a week. Okay, so they made $250. Like, they're making $1,000 a month. That's not overpaying, right? A staff, it may be an hourly and for the hour that they're putting in, but we need to think bigger than that and be able to offer people insurance, be able to offer people retirement. So there's a reason for them to stay, because as I was talking with Metz yesterday and just talking about my health insurance alone, which, by the way, just found up it's going up in September. So my health insurance alone is over $30,000 a year just for health insurance. Well, do you think that'd be a big benefit for an employee if they have to get their own insurance, right? Or if you're helping with that, that's a big benefit for people, for team members. So you want to have those things in place because, like you said, it's not always about the money, but also about the benefits. Our team gets a lot of time off. They get a lot of time off, and we want them to have that time off. And for our full-timers, it's paid time off, right? Because we want them to be fresh. We understand the hours. We understand how challenging it can be, right? We want to make sure that we take care of our own. So a lot of things that you can do, retention, meeting with your team members on a regular basis, on an individual basis, just checking their pulse, seeing where they're at, how things are going. And this is where conversations lead. Hey, I'm thinking about buying a car. What's your advice? Okay, well, tell me what you got. Let's take a look, right? Because a lot of times these are younger staff members, right? And they don't have the life experience. And by the way, there's a lot of people that are older, maybe in their 50s, that bought a car and they're not in the right spot, and we need to get them out of it, right? Because of what they're paying on interest or whatever it may be. So there's different types of things that we can do to retain our people. It's not just about what they're making. Yes, that's definitely important, but the sky is the limit on what you can do as far as retention for your team. We've been doing every Wednesday, right? We do our trainings Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Every Wednesday, I buy the team lunch and we just all sit down, and we'll sit down for 45 minutes and we'll just, or half hour, whatever it is. We'll eat lunch and we just socialize, right? We're not talking business at that point. We're having fun and we're socializing. And those types of things bring people together and bring a stronger team together.
Yeah. And the thing is listen, I know that most of you listening to this, I know that it's probably overwhelming on, where do we even start? Like you're talking about these job descriptions and these trainings and, the bench strength and, all of this stuff, right? But listen, this is why there's groups out there like us, and some of us, we hold ourselves hostage. You either go do it yourself or find somebody that can teach you and tell you or give to you on exactly how to do this if you want to grow. I mean, listen, you can like it or not like it, but this is what you need to do if you want to professionalize your business. I mean, it's just that's what you need to do. But some of you don't realize that you have team members on your team and they're temporary. You don't realize that. Temporary could be 10 years and you have this sense of security, but 10 years, the owner is 10 years older. And that's not when you want people falling out, right? Because we didn't invest in bench strength. We didn't invest in positions to grow and level up in the company. And you don't want to be in that position. You don't want to be there, right? So there's a right way and a wrong way to do this, obviously. There's a percentage of gross that I would attribute to, payroll. And I like that to be the exact number I like it to be is 27% of gross can go to payroll. However, that number will be higher. That percentage will be higher to have bench strength, to have insurance, to make sure that if somebody did drop out, it's okay. We got somebody ready to go. But I also invest in my team's growth and success, which means I'll pay for bench strength so I can open another school when we're ready to do that, to keep providing careers and opportunities and levels, not just to give somebody an opportunity to be a head instructor at another school. The more schools that I have or we have, well, I need to create an executive level of management. And the ones that paid their dues and grew and got you there, we take care of them. And we give them opportunities to be in higher positions where they're home at 5 or 6 o'clock or whatever it is, and it's more of a traditional hours, but still in the martial arts world. So that is my advice to everybody. You just understand, no matter what your reason is, in this industry, if you're making a lot of money, people want to back, oh, McDonald's with this. nickel and dime. I mean, well, I don't care what you're in it for. If you want to teach more people or spread your art, you need staff, you need team, you need people. And don't be a hog and keep all the profits or the majority of revenues for yourself. We're a team. Spread it out and grow and grow. I mean, that's you got to think long term and not short term. Period.
That's right.
Any last words?
I mean, the idea behind that is, you know, do you want the whole grape or do you want 10% of the watermelon, right? Like, you can have it all, and then you have your school of whatever that number of students, whatever that revenue is, or if we get a team behind us, can we build it to something that's just unbelievable? I think most of us, because it's a very ego-driven business, also really want to leave some sort of a legacy. I don't think that you want your martial arts, whether it's your martial art, your style, your name, your school, whatever it may be. I don't think that when you retire, you die, that you want that to die with you or leave with you or retire with you, right? And the only way to do that is to get so big that it naturally manifests and continues itself and grows, right? And have trained people that can take it over, and they're training the next generation, so it can be there forever. And look, we all know that our goal in martial arts is let's leave it better than we found it. And that's what our mission is on a daily basis. And this is what makes it fun. This is what makes it fun. And having the right team and having the right people, it's fun. It's fun to go in. It's fun to you know, work together as a team. It's fun to see what we can accomplish together. Are we going to have good days and bad days? Of course. That's anywhere, right? But where else in the world do you get to wear your pajamas to work, teach barefoot, you know, walk around and be able to have fun? And it's an unbelievable opportunity. And we need to share it with more people. And we need to have more people be empowered and understand this is an opportunity. This is an unbelievable opportunity for anybody. And they don't just have to train in martial arts. They can actually have more if that's something that they so desire. And you can be the path for them and show them the way if you want to do that.
Now, Ms. Ramos is right. You know, I had said, if you find a good candidate, find a way to pay them. Even if you can't afford them, find a way to do it. It's so hard to find good people. Here's what should never come out of your mouth. And I said this at the seminar. God, I would love to bring you on the team right now, but right now we just don't have a position for you. That doesn't come out of our mouth. If we have somebody that's good, it's so hard to find really good people. Work ethic, culture, personality, skill level. Like, if we find that person, there's a spot. We're bringing you on the team. So, but some of you just can't afford to do that because you didn't do step 1 or 2. Learn how to be successful. Execute what you've learned. Remember, it starts at the top. You got to become successful first before you can teach others how to be successful, meaning team members, and then manage them to execute what they've learned. So that's the advice here, guys, on recruiting, training, and retaining. Tass, I wish you all the best as you walk into heaven there behind you with the bright light in the tunnel. Didn't mean to hold you up there. It looks euphoric, and I wish you all the best. God bless you.
I could have done it like this today.
Oh God. Well, that's the opposite of heaven.
That's right. That's hell.
Wow. We just had a major drop off of viewers.
There you go. Is that better?
There you go. Yeah, that's better. Much better. I have a kink. Anyway. And maybe a sense of humor. Don't take things too serious, everybody.
Right.
Have a sense of humor. So thank you all. And by the way, it was great seeing everybody. And also, I talk about these events and I talk about how I get things out of these. And I see we have some you know, a lot of art team, clients, family, the elite family, CMA family on here. But I had a lockdown meeting on Monday. We got done Sunday doing seminars. We went in Monday. And the gist of this, and you can ask yourself, have we just gotten better at doing business the way we've always done it? Yes, we have. We have gotten better at doing business the way we've done it. But what if it's time now to change the way we do business? And that's what we're working on, changing the way we do business.
Right.
And so you may hear a little bit about this in October, possibly in March. So
good stuff. Good stuff.
All right, well, everybody.
Appreciate everybody tuning in. If you guys need anything, we're here for you.
Thank you, guys. Have a great week. We'll see everyone soon.